Now curbing conflicts in high school. Hari Srinivasan looks at a new approach to discipline that replaces suspensions with conversations.
Every single year over the last 3 full years that we've been doing restorative justice, you see significant declines in defiance, disobedience, and use of profanity.
In your work, can you parallel what I've always espoused, that a lot of education is about relationships?
It's absolute. We know for a fact that the more connected you are to your community, the less likely you are to act violently. The more connected you are to your school, to your classroom, to the teacher that you're working with, the less likely you are to see these negative behaviors, these violent behaviors.
The goal of education is the advancement of knowledge and the dissemination of truth. We are biologically, cognitively, physically, and spiritually wired to love, to be loved, and to belong. We fall apart. We numb. We ache. We hurt others. We get sick. What are restorative circles?
Basically are a fantastic way to facilitate communication. Just answering questions, talking, listening. It's just a great way to facilitate, to make sure every single voice is heard. And they can be used in schools, they can be used in staff meetings, they can be used in confirmation classes, they can be used in IEPs, they can be used in a Boy Scout meeting. It's just a form of communicating.
When students are asked what a circle is and what they find helpful about them, their answers vary as much as their experiences.
Well, we just usually have a talking piece, and we just pass it down the circle as Mr. Rhett tells us, asks us questions.
Circle is to help build connections with people and help with your behavior problems. You sit in a circle and somebody asks questions to help build a strong connection.
I like to be listened to, not to be ignored.
When classroom and restorative circles are used as a way to communicate, specific stages emerge. The stages are getting acquainted with the circle and each other, building relationships, addressing issues, taking action, and closing the circle. The students at Central Middle School and Memphis Middle and High School volunteered to help their teachers and community understand the impact that a classroom circle can have.
Well, I can say this because I'm a teacher, okay? It's kind of like the Norwegian telling a Norwegian joke. I think that teachers, myself included, sometimes we tend to talk a lot. We're used to standing up, we're used to talking, pontificating, and listening isn't always in our repertoire. At least in student teaching, it's all about talking. And this is a form of a communication where the teacher sits and listens to kids. It gives those kids a voice. Even today when I was doing the training, I leaned forward and I said to those 8th graders, and I looked around the room and I said, how does it feel to have a grown-up lean forward and seriously listen to what you have to say till you're done talking? And I got all smiles. Because how often do you as an adult really sit down and listen to your kids? We call this a safe space. And that means that even if you're telling the truth, people are just thinking about what you're saying. They're not judging you. It's called listening with an open heart. They're not judging what you're saying. They're not rolling their eyes. They're not telling their friends. They're just listening. And that's kind of a different way of listening. Values means something that's really important to you. And in circle, we all have to agree that we're going to do those. But in circle, they look a little different than they do the rest of the day. In circle, respect is pretty easy in circle. It just means that when someone's talking, you are listening. But listening in circle is different than listening sitting in class. Say Mr. Ack's up there talking about science and you're in the back row and you're back here kind of half paying attention, right? This is not respect in the circle. This is respect in the circle. Really making eye contact, really listening to the person, and we call that listening with an open heart. It's a different kind of listening. So I'm going to give you a piece of paper here in a minute and a marker. We'll pass the markers around. And on that, I want you to write one word. And I want that word to be something that is of value to you. Now here's an example. In a relationship that you have, say, think of a really healthy relationship you have with someone. Could be with a parent, grandparent, neighbor, friend. What about that relationship makes it really valuable to you? It could be the truth, the honesty, the sense of humor. And I have heard everything imaginable. I do these with the University of Wisconsin River Falls twice a month. And one time, the word he wrote was my truck. And that's what he put in for a value. Well, as we passed the talking piece around, it wasn't really his truck. He said that he had a little stepbrother, and the only time he ever got to see the stepbrother one-on-one was when he picked him up from school. And he had 10 minutes alone with his little stepbrother every single day. So it wasn't really his truck. It was that one-on-one time with family, one-on-one, that was his value. All right, you probably noticed the Minnesota Wild hockey puck in the middle. I'm a hockey coach, played hockey all my life, from Minnesota, teach in Minnesota. So when we do circles and when you'll probably get really good at them in the next year, and when you're doing them, the teacher may bring something that is of value to them, something that has a story to tell. So for me, I always know if I'm going to do a circle that's really important, like I'm teaching something, I always use a hockey puck because hockey is just a really part of my family. But as you guys get pretty good at circles, you'll find that your teachers will maybe bring some in, or you might even bring in some of your own talking pieces to use once if you start liking this kind of talking. And here's how it works. Pretty easy. If you have the talking piece, you talk. If you don't have the talking piece, you listen. Trust is really important, and that means that no matter what you say, no one's going to laugh or make fun of you. And that's really hard for high school kids sometimes, because that could mean rolling your eyes. That could mean making eye contact with someone across while someone's speaking. And that we need to trust that we're going to be respectful and that this is going to be a safe space for everybody. So if you think you can do all of those things, when you get the talking piece, you're going to say, yep, I think I can do all those things in the circle today. Not the rest of the day, I'm not asking, I'm just asking you to do them for the next maybe half hour. And I've had kids that said, oh, I'm not sure. So it's up to you. So you say, yes, I can do all those things in circle today, if you can.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So we're going to open the circle. We're going to do a really easy question first. All right, you should be able to answer this without having to think too hard. How many years have you been at this school in this town? And I know it could have been at the elementary across the street, but that counts. And if you're a teacher still, how many years have you been in this district or in this school? Okay, for me, an hour and a half.
Since kindergarten.
About 3 years.
Since sophomore year, so about 1.5 years.
Only 1 year. Since preschool. Since preschool.
Your name, and I know we have name tags down here, but I don't know how they're pronounced sometimes. And I would like to know if maybe you have a nickname also. All right. And I'm going to ask Gabe to start, since you guys are circle experts.
Last year I had a nickname. It was Gatorade. And because everybody said I had a lot of energy, I was full of energy, so they gave me Gatorade as my nickname.
And my nickname? Jalen. I don't have a nickname.
Mr. Rack, my nickname is Grandpa.
My name is Aaliyah and my nickname is Leah.
If I walked up to your friends and asked them to say something about you, what would they tell me?
Nice.
Outspoken. Probably say I'm obnoxious. I like to make people laugh.
Think about one word, or close to one word, I just don't want a paragraph, of a value for you, something that's really important in a relationship.
I picked honesty because you can't have a good relationship if it's filled with lies, so honesty is really important to me.
I chose loyalty. My husband and I have been together for a long, long time, through thick, thin, rich, poor, sickness, health, all of it, and it's very important that we were loyal to each other in a lot of different ways.
I chose honest because you want to be honest with everyone, anybody in your surroundings, otherwise you're not going to be true to yourself. That's one of the main things in life, is if you're not true to anyone, how are you going to be honest to yourself? Like, you want to be that way, and that's why I chose honest.
I see that those words and those mean things that are important to us, not just you, but to us as a group. So those are going to be the values for us today in this circle. Not the rest of your life, not the rest of the day, not the rest of the weekend. Today, probably for 45 minutes. All right, I'm going to read you a little story that I found. And it's entitled, "And How Are the Children?" Among the most accomplished and fabled tribes of Africa, no tribe was considered to have more warriors that were more fearsome and more intelligent than the mighty Maasai. It is perhaps surprising then to learn that the traditional greeting that passed between these warriors, one would always say to the other, "How are the children?" It is still the traditional greeting among the Maasai, acknowledging the high value that the Maasai always place on the well-being of the children. Even warriors with no children of their own always give the traditional answer, "All the children are well." Meaning, of course, that peace and safety prevail, and the priorities of these people is above all to protect their children. The powerless are in place. The Maasai people have not forgotten the reason, its proper function and responsibilities. All the children are well means that all the children are safe. It means life is good for all the children. It means that the daily struggles of existence, even among poor people and even among its young. I wonder how it might affect our consciousness of our own children's welfare if in our culture we took to greeting everyone with that question. And how are the children? I wonder if we heard that question and passed it along to each other a dozen times a day, would it make a difference? Would it make a difference for the children in our country who maybe aren't cared for? I wonder if every adult among us, parent and non-parent alike, felt an equal weight for the daily care and protection of all the children in our town, in our state, in our country, if we said every day, "And how are the children?" All the children are well. In your school, how are the children doing? How are the children in your school doing, do you think?
I've been in and out of your school for about 14 years, and I've always been impressed with your student body, that it's a nice group of students that go to school in Memphis schools.
I'd say that we're very lucky.
I'd agree. We have some children here with special needs, and our students do a phenomenal job in rallying around them and protecting them and watching out for bullies. Not saying we don't have our problems, but with our small community, I think we all look out for each other, and I'm very proud of our student body.
I would say we're pretty blessed. I mean, there's a lot of schools that have a lot worse than us, and we're pretty much a little family inside our grade, so.
I'd say we're pretty fortunate because all of the students with special needs generally are cared for pretty well.
I'd have to agree with them, and I forgot what I was going to say.
I'd agree as well. I think that, I guess compared to my experience in high school and middle school and what I've seen here, it gives me hope that things are getting better and better and there are more advocates.
I would say that everyone's kind with each other and that everyone has a friend.
So this one has to do with stress.
Okay, that one might be easy.
So I want you to think of something in your life right now that is causing you stress. Would anyone like to start?
Oh, you're wanting us to share these things.
Life being very stressful, especially like outside of school. Like I've had bad days, good days. Even if my good days are stressful, just by the things that happen. And when coming to school, it just seems like anything that's piled on to me, it sucks because you want to worry about your grades, you want to worry about this, so that adds more to you, and it's just a stressful day altogether.
This portion of the circle is called addressing the issue, and it doesn't mean we're going to solve it. It means we're going to use each other's knowledge to come up with some ways to help. I want you to think, it's going to be hard, but I think you can handle this. And I want you to think of a time when you have handled some stress pretty well. There probably was a time when you probably freaked out and didn't, okay? We've all done that. But there has to be a time where you handled some stress pretty well. And looking back on it, you're like, yeah, I think I handled that pretty well. And if you could share that with us, then we can maybe use that strategy.
When I was at the college and I was picking out what my next classes were going to be, I had to take speech because it was required. And I am not okay with speaking in front of people. I hate it so much, but over time I started realizing that no one cares really what I'm saying in a classroom, so it shouldn't matter. And if I'm confident in what I'm saying and I know what I'm talking about, then I have nothing to stress over. And I started telling myself that as long as I know what I'm talking about and I have everything planned out the way I want to, then I have no reason to be stressed. I just need to take a breather, calm down, and realize that probably no one's listening to me anyway. So that's how I pretty much dealt with my stress.
I was debating whether or not talking about this, but a situation happened years ago, and my father wasn't present in my life at the moment, and it was just me and my siblings. And my mom had to work because how else were we gonna survive, obviously? So I had to stay home for, I believe it was 3 months out of school and help them. I passed the school year with a 3.5 GPA. I think it was around 8th grade, I don't know whether or not, but what really helped me deal with that time in my life was to understand the situation, attack the situation, and just know what it is. It is what it is, and I can't change it no matter what. And it's just time for me to assess it, regardless of what's happening around me. It's just time to get through it.
Okay, so I want you to think about all the things you just heard. I love crinkling it out, get rid of that garbage, writing it down. Sometimes I just write it down and cross it off. You know, I love thinking about it. Is it me? I wish everyone would do that. Is it me? No, it's not me. And then go ask for some help. It's amazing how often all of these things were great ideas. So I want you to think of one that you heard today that might work for you. Next time you get stressed, pick one that might work for you.
I cry. Like right now. No, but anyway, like last year we had to do a speech in English, and speaking freaks me out a lot.
about 1.5 years ago, my grandmother died, and she was like my #1 influence in my life. And I had to deal with her trust and getting rid of her things and sorting all that out, and it was very stressful. And a lot of times when I was making decisions about what was going to happen, I would just say, what would she want? What would my grandma want me to do? And I asked myself a lot that when I'm faced with a tough situation, if maybe you pick a role model and you think, what would they do in this situation? That helps me.
I think something teachers could do to make it better is understand that maybe this kid has something at home, they can do their homework or project and listen to their reasoning before calling it an excuse.
I think no matter what it is, whether it's for teachers in a class, if you ask a question or you want them to read something, like try to include everyone, because not like in the same question, but just make sure that at the end of class that everyone's been included in something and make them feel like they're a part of the class.
So we did the opening with the values. We did the getting acquainted, which was just the easy questions, and they got a little bit harder to the building relationships. And then we went on to finding out our problem. And hopefully we helped you maybe come up with some ideas. We don't ever solve problems, but we just get them out and we just talk about them. And hopefully you got some strategies from each other. So there's just one round left, and it's just called the reflection. And it just has to do with the circle today. I want you to come up with one word to describe how you're feeling about this circle today.
I'd probably have to go with relief, because I always feel like, when I'm around here with my friends, with other students, teachers, anybody around here, or anybody in general, I always feel like I'm alone with, everyone's dealing with stuff, but I always feel like what I'm dealing with is more, or there's just more of a burden on me for whatever I'm going through. But now that I hear everybody here, I realize everyone's going through something personally, everyone's got something that they're fighting with every day, and it is the highest level of stress for them individually. So I realize that, if I talk to someone probably with the same problem or whatnot, they can kind of help me out, we can help each other out and figure something out.
I need to take a breath, and I did not want to come here today, not because I didn't want to participate, but I told Mrs. Gadke, I'm like, I have a stack of research papers to grade. I have tests to get ready for data to get together, and I still need to do those things, and it's stressful, and we focus so much on that, and I guess it's not going to go away. We still have to do that, but then I get so wrapped up in that and getting the things graded and being harsh. I don't think I graded your paper yet. And pushing them to the max, but and just stop. And I've been trying to do that today. Like, okay, next week is the last week, and we got to get through it, but just to kind of take a breath and step back.
So making connections, knowing kids' names, building those relationships, making sure you feel like you belong, making sure that all of that happens. Circles is the perfect way to do that, because look what we just did today. You all had a voice, you all felt like you belonged to the group, and it isn't just teachers talking, it's kids talking, it's teachers listening. How often do you really get grown-ups to do this and listen to every single word you say? Feels good though, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Because you have a lot of wisdom in there too, and yes, we need to listen. And that's what circles do. They give teachers this tool to get to know you. And then we know who to push and who needs the extra.